Buno.
Our whole road's being ripped up. So
Right.
they try to curve around me.
Deputies say a Manatee County commissioner crashes his truck near his home while under the influence. However, he leaves the scene without arrest as officials now review whether to charge him with DUI. A closer look at this body camera video here live on WFLA Now. Hey there, folks. JB Buno here with you live across all of our platforms, including Facebook Live and YouTube Live, where we'll be featuring some of your comments out of the Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section. This on the right side of your screen is body camera video showing you Manatee County Commissioner George Kruse. In fact, so let's show you, this is his official headshot with Manatee County. With the Manatee County government, George Kruse, he appears to have done something extremely dangerous on a Wednesday night in April. Back now to the video. We have in new video here from moments ago. We're going to get into this here with you on WFLA Now, but extremely dangerous in that deputies say that he drank, drove, and then crashed into a tree at his subdivision in Manatee County. Now, just in moments ago, we have Commissioner Kruse's response to this incident. It's an on-camera response. We are going to play it back here for you. But before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to show you exactly what happened. You'll be able to hear and see for yourself what happened, why it's dangerous, and of course, as well, why we don't have a DUI charge for a pretty well-known public official in Manatee County. So let's take you back now to this being a Wednesday night. I believe it was Wednesday, April 20th, so just a couple of weeks ago. We have here George Kruse, Manatee County Commissioner, being followed by his wife in a separate vehicle when a crash occurs. According to deputies at his subdivision, he crashes into a tree while under the influence. Now, what's interesting about this is that it isn't a witness or even his wife who calls 911. The first person to call 911 for this pretty serious crash as he goes head on into a tree is actually a computer. The computer built into his vehicle, an OnStar type of vehicle safety system that calls 911. Now, we have the clip. It's about 2 minutes long. We're going to play back a majority of it here for you, and we've kind of skipped some of the parts where you can't really hear anything other than sort of radio interference, but we're going to play back the audio recording now of when the vehicle automatically called emergency services right after Manatee County Commissioner George Kruse, according to deputies, crashed his vehicle near his home. Take a listen.
Attention, a crash has occurred in a Ford vehicle. Press 1 at any time for location information, or press 0 at any time. Sending location. A vehicle crash has occurred at the following coordinates. Latitude 27.510. Line open.
Hello, this is 911. We got an automatic crash notification. Is there is everything okay? Hello?
Yeah, everything's okay. Yeah, everything's okay.
Okay, what, was there an accident or was it a faulty notification?
No, I just had someone swerve in front of me, so I swerved out, and it's something, but I'm okay.
Okay, are there any injuries?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, no, any fuel or fire hazards?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, where did this occur at so I can get a law enforcement started for you? Hello? Hello?
Sheriff's Office, hello? Hey, are you okay? I need you to get in my car. I need you to get in my car right now. Okay? Sheriff's Office? Hi, we're good. We're good. I'm so sorry. Where's the vehicle located? Hey, we're good. I'm so sorry. There was little fender bender. We're okay. We're okay. Thank you. No, we are sending a car out. We need to know the location. That's okay. That's okay. No, we're totally good. Who am I speaking with? This is Jessica Kruse. We are so good.
So that is the audio. Now we're going to play back the video for you when deputies first arrived, but that is the automated emergency call that went out from the vehicle to dispatch, again, designed to keep you safe in the aftermath of a crash. Now again, you hear George Kruse's wife come up and speak to dispatch during this exchange because she's in a separate vehicle. She's not located in the same vehicle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play back the portions now that we have of the body camera video when deputies first arrive. Again, the big thing to take away from this is that right now we do not have a DUI charge. He is a driver suspected in a DUI crash in Manatee County is Commissioner George Kruse here on your screen. So now we're going to play back the video. What we have done is we have taken out some of the portions of the video where there's no dialogue, just for the sake of live streaming. So we're going to play back the portions now of the video that do have dialogue so that you can hear, and then in the aftermath of this, we're going to play back George Kruse's response, what he has to say in regards to this incident. He spoke to WFLA's Allison Henning in Manatee County a short time ago. So we're going to play back that clip for you and also get into this a little bit as to why he was able to leave the scene without being arrested, without being charged for DUI, even though, as you are about to hear from deputies, he's clearly intoxicated while crashing into this tree on a Wednesday night in April in Manatee County. So we'll be back in about 15 minutes. We want you to hear this now. This is the entirety of the dialogue-based portions of the video when deputies arrived to the scene of the crash involving Manatee County Commissioner George Kruse.
He swerved and ended up hitting this, and his airbag went off, and so now he's kind of a little out of it, and that's my car, and I just kind of slammed on the brakes. I didn't see anything that happened. I have absolutely no idea.
Okay. Let me talk to him real quick. What's his name?
George Kruse.
George Kruse? Okay.
Did somebody call you?
Yeah. The whole neighbor. I'm working the special detail in here, and everybody keeps driving up to me.
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah. So, where's he at?
Hey, babe, how you feeling?
Let me come around to that other side and talk to him. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell me what happened?
I was coming through the gate and somebody cut me off and blew right past me, and I tried to hit my brakes and curve around them and just cut a curb.
Okay. So you're saying that somebody was going around you?
Somebody cut. All right. I mean, our whole road's being ripped up, so
right.
They try to curve around me. So I hit my brakes and I just swerved over her.
Okay. All right. Why's your shirt wet? What's going on with your shirt?
Is it sweat?
It's a sweat. Because
from the airbag?
The airbag just.
Well, the airbag doesn't have water in it, so.
It doesn't have water. Why is there water?
Because I'm stressed.
Stress. Okay. All right. We got EMS coming to check you out. Okay. All right. So just stay in the car for me. Do you have your license on you?
Do you need EMS?
I don't need EMS.
Well, we'll have them at least come check you out. The airbag deployment and stuff like that, you want to have them at least looked at.
I live a half mile from this house.
Okay. All right. Just hang out for me, okay? I'll be back with you in a second. Okay.
08598. 08598. I want to go
Hey, vehicle versus tree, single vehicle, no other property damage. The driver is impaired of something. However, he was not in the vehicle when I got on scene. He was in his wife's vehicle.
Do we have any wheel witness or holding out on scene?
No, 54. Nobody stayed. So we have no independent witness. Just wanted to run it by you guys and be sure that we weren't going to do anything with it. All right, 10-4. I'll get a patrol unit to come work the crash. All right, 10-4.
North.
443 EMS will not be 51 with just airbag deployment and no confirmed injuries.
All right, so.
19.
Does he have his license on him?
Yes.
Can I get that
I
from
can get his
Number,
license.
go ahead.
Yes. Give your license, please.
My name is Nick Height. Mary Charles, Paul, Ida.
There you go.
Thank you.
First name Jessica. John.
Are you still the dates and place address?
Yes. Yes. In fact, our daughter just drove by with
2891.
her soccer teammate, and
Okay.
she got all freaked out.
Go ahead and call a tow truck. Start getting that on the way.
Okay. Can I bring him home so he can settle down, and then he'll handle this tow truck situation? We're right here on Daisy. This is Daisy.
What do you mean? Like you're gonna drop him off at home and then?
And then he can go home with my daughter. Just drove by
Okay.
with her soccer teammate.
Yep, that's
so
fine.
Can I drop him off with her?
Yeah, that's fine.
I can handle this?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. I'll be right back. You want my license?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Oh no, you did that?
Did what?
That.
Crash the truck?
Whatever.
They are 41 to
Are you? The dude freaking crashed into a tree.
Dude, did you miss the road?
No, he's drunk.
They are 41 to 13 persons 517 switch Main Street.
Just can't do a DUI because nobody can put him behind the wheel. When I got here, he was in his wife's car.
Oh my god.
19.
He's a very. Are you here to work the crash?
No, I'm going to work. I'm going to be late today.
Oh, that's right. You're on the island.
Hey,
I forgot about that.
Don't let me piss this guy off.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Hey, man, you too. I'm glad you're out there.
All right.
Sure, that's relaxing. What's up, man? If it would have happened about 15 minutes sooner, I'd have worked it for you. I'm trying to go home. I'm here till 8. I'm trying to look and see how this went down. She's lying. That's his driver's license and his registration. I don't have the insurance. This is probably her coming back up, the wife.
Okay.
She went and dropped him off at home. He's intoxicated. But when I got here, he was out of the car, in her car, and then there was nobody that stopped to say that they saw him in the car. He's admitting to being in the car and driving. She's admitting to him being in the car and driving, but it is what it is. Single vehicle accident, no property damage or anything like that. He is a county commissioner, FYI. So that's why she's going to be very political with you. Very polite, just take it for a grain of salt. He was obviously drinking. He's got a LaCroix in the front seat. He couldn't explain to me how his shirt got wet. Well, it's because he had a LaCroix in his hand when he freaking crashed into a tree, probably. So that just tells you more so that he's intoxicated. She's working on getting a tow truck here. If you just scratch out a freaking single vehicle crash deal, she can wait for the tow truck. You wouldn't have to wait for it being off the roadway. I was just trying to look at this. I was trying to see where the tires went. But it looks like he just missed this tree. It looks like he came up here somewhere. I can't tell where he came up on the curb at. Oh, it must have been right there. There it is. Yep. So, and then you got the two down there that's the tires chirping. And then he made it up onto the curb and smacked into the tree. Her story is she was driving behind him, and his story after the fact is that somebody cut him off. They pulled around him. She said somebody just cut him off. He said that somebody came around him and cut him off, to pass him, and he lost control of the car because the way the road is. Which, if you're doing the proper speed, he wouldn't have that much crush damage on his foot. So that's just my traffic investigation crap. But it's just easy, simple single vehicle crash. You need anything from me? All right.
Representative. I love that everything is technological nowadays. Yes, live agent, please. Thank you.
Okay. This deputy's going to do a traffic crash, single vehicle. You understand your husband could go to jail for intoxicated driving, so you need to just talk to him about that. He's obviously impaired. It's obvious. This kind of crush depth for this kind of crash, he was not doing the speed limit that this road requires. If he's saying that somebody went around him...
I will say, though, that this asphalt has been a complete show.
Oh, I
and
agree.
if you get one wrong swerve, it can cause you to go... And people are
to a degree. If you're driving the speed limit that he should have been driving, that would not have been the case. You can hold control of your vehicle. It's not that slippery. I've driven up and down this road for the last 4 hours, okay, at the posted speed limit, and I've had no issues controlling my vehicle.
Hello? Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hang on one second.
So just be mindful of that. I know who your husband is, okay, and this could have turned out very badly, and he just needs to be more cognizant of that.
Yes.
All right, whether or not somebody cut him off or not, we'll take that with a grain of salt. But the speed that he was driving was not the speed limit. It was well over the speed limit because there's over 2.5 feet worth of crush damage on this tree. This truck only weighs about 6,000 pounds. I'm a trained traffic investigator. That kind of crush depth would not have happened if he was only traveling at 25 miles an hour. Okay? So, just, there's no reason why he should have been driving, especially if you were right behind him. I mean, you guys are very aware of how this law works. You're very smart people, there's no reason he should have been driving. You guys have to be mindful of that, because then our hands are tied, and then we have to make phone calls, and other people have to be involved, and it's just it puts everybody into a really crappy scenario, and I don't want to be there. The benefit here is that nobody out of the 7 people that stopped and told me about this, nobody stayed to say he was in that car. Had that been the case, my traffic units would have been here, worked the crash, worked the DUI, and he would have gone to jail, because he was obviously impaired. Nobody that's driving a car that has all their faculties about them wouldn't know where the water came from on his truck, on his shirt. It's because he had a drink in his hand, and when he crashed, the drink went all over him. And an airbag, this crash in and of itself, and the airbag wouldn't put somebody into that big of a loop that he didn't know what happened, and it's because he's intoxicated. So please, please, please have a very candid conversation with him about it. That this could have been very, very bad for him.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't appreciate not giving factual points about what happened.
I've never been in this situation.
I know, and that's why I'm telling you. The way to get out of the situation is nobody drives. We have Uber, we have Lyft, we have places that'll pick up your car and tow it for free. You're with him. I imagine you were with him.
I was a couple minutes behind him.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Just
you.
please. I don't ever want to have to do this to a public official at all. Okay. All right. He's going to do the crash. It should be fairly quick. He probably won't stay. You'll just have to stay and wait for the tow truck to get here and pull the car off.
Yep.
There's no property damage or anything, so Greyhawk doesn't even have to be involved. So it should just be you and your insurance at this point. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Be careful.
About wherever you want. It's your vehicle. You could have it towed to your house if you wanted to.
I should get it towed to an automotive place, though. No.
Be a good idea. We can get it started. Do you know about how fast you guys were going?
I was not. I was behind him a couple...
Yeah, but how fast were you guys driving down the road? Do you know about what speed you were going?
I was not in front, right behind him. I was a little ways back.
Okay, how fast was he going from what you could tell?
30.
30? Okay.
The clicker,
right?
You know, like the gate clicker back there, was not on the visor when I was pulling out his briefcase and the pizza and all those things I was pulling out. That was not on there. It was on the floor.
Okay.
So only makes me think that wasn't working, and then somebody had pulled around him because it went on the... I don't know. I wasn't in the car, and he was a little shooken up. I don't know.
It's fine. I'm just writing the vehicle crash, that's all. I'm sure he already told you what he needed to tell you. I'm not going to yell at you. It's not my job. Just here to do the crash and make sure you get on your way. That's all.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
And then we'll be towing it as a drop-off to the automotive.
You got a second? Sorry. Here's the stuff back.
Perfect. Okay. So are we all set? Because I have the officer here.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're totally fine.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate your assistance, and I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay, no problem. Stay safe and good luck with everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Have a good night.
You're welcome.
This is all the information you're going to need for the claim. So the case number's on top, there's my name at the bottom, and all the info about these.
Throwing stuff around.
Just flew right out. There's that.
Thank you.
This one here is going to be the citation. Options are on the back. Basically, he's got 30 days to either fight it, take it to court, go to the school, whatever it is he wants to do.
Okay.
Choice. But it's careless driving, like I said. That is the fee for it.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Best of luck for everything. I hope that you show up sooner. I know they take a while, so I'm glad everybody's okay, like I said. That's all that matters.
That is all that matters, and I am glad as well.
Yep.
And I cannot thank you enough for your assistance and your help and everything that you do. And, gosh, this was not how I wanted to end my evening.
Sorry to hear that. I know it happens, but I hope you have a better night.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
As we do here interactively on WFLA Now, I've been paying attention to a lot of your comments here, both on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, in response to the playback of this now public record video showing Manatee County Commissioner George Kruse, who was suspected in a DUI crash. Now, I think a lot of folks were commenting about the audio recording when there was that OnStar equivalent phone call made to dispatch when we heard from the woman who identifies herself as the wife of George Kruse, Jessica Kruse, in the audio recording saying it was just a fender bender. I think that there was a lot of folks that were pointing out that comment in our comment section. And then also, too, there was that one-on-one moment with the deputy who was speaking to Jessica Kruse. And there was this one-on-one moment where he really calls her out for, in his words, not being factual. We also have all the comments that are coming in as to why we do not have an arrest or DUI charges being filed in this case. Of course, we had the citation that was issued, but we don't have an arrest in this case, a DUI in this case. And as some of our very astute observers noted by watching the video and hearing from some of what the deputies were explaining to both, radio communication dispatch as well as their fellow deputies on the scene, they were talking about how there was no independent witness. And when the deputies arrived at the scene, Commissioner Kruse was not at the wheel of his vehicle. He wasn't even in his own vehicle. He was in his wife's vehicle. And while many of our commenters, of course, have pointed out exactly what deputies have pointed out, that he appears to have been clearly intoxicated, there is now we have a single vehicle crash report being filed and not a DUI crash being filed because of, in the words of deputies, no independent witness being filed. However, it's a single vehicle crash. As far as the incident report that was filed, and we have that file for you, it's on WFLA.com. We have a write-up for you on WFLA.com. This was a single occupant crash. So there was one person in the vehicle, one person behind the wheel. That person is mentioned several times in the video and mentioned in the report as being under the influence or quote-unquote intoxicated. So people are going to ask, and of course rightfully so, is there going to be a DUI charge filed? Now, the state attorney's office is involved. They are said to be reviewing the incident, and they're going to determine as to whether or not any additional charges are going to be filed in this case regarding Commissioner George Kruse, who you see there again on your screen. Want to play back now the video. WFLA's Allison Henning, she's going to be in our newscast tonight on WFLA News Channel 8 with this story. So you really want to check out our broadcast tonight on WFLA News Channel 8. But what I want to do now is play back for you George Kruse's response when Allison found him earlier on today. So this is now Commissioner George Kruse after this video was made public through public record.
I haven't seen whatever you guys have seen. The stuff hasn't been released to me. This is under investigation. I've had this discussion before. The Sheriff's Department does an excellent job. I respect what the Sheriff's Department does. It's being passed to Ed Brodsky in the state attorney's office. I respect what he does. Both of them are going to do their job. I'm not going to interfere with their investigation, and whatever their outcome is what we'll deal with at that point in time. But I'm not going to opine on or speak to a legal investigation at this stage. It's just not in my best interest, and honestly, it's not in their best interest, because I want them to be able to do their diligence and their investigation without all of the distractions. So that's about the extent of what I'm going to say on it. I trust Sheriff Wells, I trust the State Attorney Brodsky to do a proper job and a fair job, and we will move forward when they've completed their investigation.
Got a lot of comments coming in regards to the response that I just gave as to why at this time, you got to remember, at this time, there is no DUI charge that has been filed against County Commissioner George Kruse. It's an incident under review. Again, he's the only person believed to be in the vehicle. He's the person driving that vehicle, according to, of course, the incident report. And it's mentioned multiple times that he is believed to be or observed to be under the influence. It's in the incident report. It's mentioned several times in the video. And the eye test here, I think a lot of folks in our comments section were commenting that he is clearly intoxicated in this video. That's, again, according to our commenters. Now, what I'd like to do is bring up some of your comments using hashtag HeyJB. But as we await some of the comments coming in, I want to let you know that you can click on the link in the description on this video for our write-up. If you're maybe just joining us, you want the full report, we have it for you on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. So if you'd like to read more about this story, and perhaps you're finding this video at a later date after we have been live, maybe days, weeks, or months after we've been live. You know how things always live on the internet. Perhaps there's an update on the story. We'll have it for you, of course, on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. Okay, so I want to bring up some of the comments and bring up what some of the folks are saying here. You can use hashtag HeyJB to have your comment featured. If you use the hashtag, we'll feature your comment on screen. If you don't use the hashtag, we'll just let your comment continue to scroll on by. Again, and as we always point this out, can't put up comments that have any inappropriate language. It's got to be, of course, appropriate for air, but we want to hear your response to this story. This is an official representing Manatee County. And I think that some people are gonna, might invoke, and I think I've already seen some comments, that this is invoking some memories of another Tampa Bay local official, political official, that was caught in body camera video doing something that they probably regret, and that, of course, being Martin Hyde, the congressional candidate from here in the Tampa Bay area. And that, of course, that video got a whole lot of attention, and the reason being was because, according to the commenters and the thousands of comments that we received on that story, there were a lot of people that accused Martin Hyde of seeking out special treatment because he was a public official and a political official here in the state of Florida. This is another instance of we have a political figure, someone who is well known, especially in Manatee County, who is involved in an incident in body camera video. And there's going to be people saying, and I think I've already seen a lot of comments, people saying, if I'm seeing it right here from a commenter, Lori, on our screen, if it was anybody else, they would have been a bit harder on the suspect, according to some of the commenters that we have here, that he was, the accusation is, from a lot of our commenters, is that he was able to use his stature, and they said several times in the video that he is known as a county commissioner, that he was able to use his stature to avoid arrest and avoid charges being filed. But again, you hear an explanation from the deputies at the scene who say that without an independent witness, they can't have a massive traffic investigation and can't really take it to the next level, if you will, because there was no independent witness. That gets me to the next comment that's going to come in here, and I want to feature a comment from, and it came in a short time ago, Eric Mullis, hashtag HeyJB. She was the witness, of course, in regards to the wife in this case, Jessica Kruse, who is in a lot of this video and is not, was not in the vehicle at the same time. She was in a separate vehicle and driving behind her husband. I think she said about a minute or so behind him, and did not have any direct involvement in the crash. Now, she says that she was behind him, but we can't say for certain whether or not she was a direct eye for eye witness. And even if she was, it would again involve incriminating her husband. So there's, there's going to be some legal experts that are going to have to break this down. I know that when we did the Martin Hyde video, there were legal experts who broke it down. There were acclaimed analysts in the field of psychology that broke down that video on YouTube. It'll be very interesting to see how this video is analyzed. This is, again, just coming out in the last couple of hours. So we're playing it back here for you so that you can form an opinion of your own, and then folks can comment. And again, we're talking about somebody who is a public official here in the state of Florida, and again, not charged in an incident where he is suspected of DUI and noted in the incident report as being or observed to be under the influence. Brooke Vance, hashtag HeyJB, he sounded drunk and looks drunk or high, and he should be charged for reckless endangerment and under the influence. He is cited for a moving violation. He does get the citation at the end of the video, as you saw. But again, when you have his wife coming up and asking, hey, can he leave? Can I take him home? The deputy says, yeah, you can take him home, which might seem, from the outside looking in, it might seem so odd to just allow somebody who is accused or at least believed to have been drunk behind the wheel and crashed and perhaps totaled his vehicle, just to allow him to leave the scene like that without handcuffs. But again, without an independent witness, the deputies were saying that they didn't really have anything to be able to take the investigation to the next level as far as investigating him for driving under the influence. We'll get to a few more questions and comments. This is exactly what I was talking about as far as some of the comments that were coming in. This one coming in from Sharon Garcia. Hello to Sharon in our Facebook Live comment section. Hashtag HeyJB. This is so wrong. He needs to be arrested and treated like anyone else. He could have killed a person in a car. And this is why I noted earlier how dangerous this was to be, again, deputies saying under the influence, and to be behind the wheel of a vehicle. That's extremely dangerous. And you never want to see it. You hear the deputy in the video, we've got Uber, we've got Lyft. There's a lot of different ways that you can get home these days that don't involve drinking at the wheel or drinking before you actually get behind the wheel. And there was a choice made here, allegedly, to do that. And so that's, of course, the dangerous component to this. And this isn't, for folks in the Tampa Bay area, this isn't happening, elsewhere. This is happening right here in our area, in our neighborhood. And so this is a scary situation, because we're talking about somebody who I think most people would say that we expect our public officials, are the folks that are in positions of political power in our state and really in our country, to be fantastic citizens and to make really sound decisions and to help people, not hurt people. And in this case, we have what appears to be somebody who is making a decision that potentially could have harmed people. And that is, of course, just extremely alarming for people. I have to point this out, though. He's suspected in a DUI crash. And while at this time, we have all of these little antidotes, if you will, of information that suggests that he was drinking, and of course that you can clearly see that he is, he's slurring his speech and he's having difficulty maintaining eye contact with the deputy. We have to remind you that he has not been arrested for DUI. He hasn't been charged with DUI, and this is still a situation that is under review. We're going to follow up on this story and let you know if there is any charges filed. And here's the thing, if there isn't a charge filed against him, and it is just a normal standard traffic citation, we're going to ask why. We're going to just ask, and I think what people really want to know is if this was your average Joe, if this was your average Jane, not somebody who has any political influence in the state of Florida or any state of anywhere in our country, if this is just your average person, your average Floridian involved in this exact situation, his wife pulling up behind him in the vehicle, and would he have been allowed to go home without wearing handcuffs? Would he have been able to have leave the scene with just a slap on the wrist, a citation, if you will, from the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. That's really what it's going to come down to for people, as to whether or not, in their opinion, and this is your opinion, and I've been reading your comments here, it's your opinion as to whether or not you see in this video any form of any special treatment given to a relatively well-known public official in Manatee County, and that being, of course, George Kruse. Looking for some other comments. Mandy Lee bringing up this comment, and I believe that this is mentioned in the incident report as well. Hashtag HJB, the wife is not obligated to incriminate her husband, period. Know the law and walk, obviously. And we don't know how far behind. Now, remember, if you're following somebody home, and whether they're drunk or not, how many times have you followed somebody home and you're not directly behind them because maybe you get caught up at the light? Especially if you're heading home, right? I mean, if you're heading home, you and your spouse, you know how to get home. And you or your family member, you know how to get home if you're in separate vehicles. So if one of you gets hung up at the light, it's like, okay, I'll see you in a minute, back at the house. So we don't know how far behind she was at the time of the crash itself. She might have stumbled upon it and noticed that the crash had occurred without actually ever seeing the crash happen. And while, yes, she did go up to the vehicle, and yes, you can hear her in the OnStar type audio recording, we just don't know about her involvement directly, as even if she wasn't his wife, as a witness in the crash itself. Reading through some comments. Let's go over to YouTube and say hello to our YouTube audience. Cindy says, hashtag HJB on YouTube. Unfortunately, even if he's charged, a defense attorney would throw it out. Couldn't prove who he was driving with, or I think without witnesses. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Without question, even if he is charged with driving under the influence, if the state attorney's office reviews this incident, decides to file that charge, yeah, you would imagine that George Kruse is going to hire the best attorney that he can afford to represent him in a court of law to attempt to have this dismissed on whatever grounds they think are the best chance for dismissal. And that's what we have in this country as far as your legal representation in court. And if you do have the means to hire a relatively well-known, high-profile attorney who is recognized for their, for their record in a court of law, then of course, you're going to hire the attorney to the best of your ability and to the best of your financial might. Some people don't have the ability to hire, a relatively high-priced lawyer, if you will, and they would be, of course, perhaps going the route of a public defender. And so I think absolutely, if George Kruse is, of course, if he would be facing any charge that is serious, he would hire the best legal representation possible in an attempt to have this dismissed, as you would expect. And that's not anything out of the ordinary or anything that wouldn't be expected in a case such as this. But what's interesting, and this is the first time I'm referencing this on stream, this is again a very 2022 kind of story. Got body camera video showing this. When how many times in this country has somebody, whether they're known publicly or not, drove home, crashed into a fence or into a tree or into a pole, and no one ever knows about it or hears about it because there's no video of it. In this case, we have the video, and the video, of course, tells us a story that the state attorney's office is going to have to comb through and determine for themselves as to whether or not it constitutes charges or a charge being filed. Reading through some other comments before we get going. I want to remind folks, you can click on the link in the description on this video for the very latest on this story. It's on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. If you don't want to hear me continuously talk on and on and on about it, we have the write-up for you, and you can read it for yourself. Also, again, if you're joining us in a non-live capacity, if it's afterwards, if it's right now, today is Cinco de Mayo. If it's not Cinco de Mayo, if it's a day or so later than that, or even a month or year down the line, there might have been a result in this story. And of course, you can click on the link. Just go to WFLA.com. We'll have the very latest on this story, as we do in coverage of Florida's top headlines. See, this is a question. This is a question that I think I want a more. I think I know the answer to this question, but I don't want to speak to that answer until I have a legal expert, somebody who can really explain to me procedurally the answer to this question, because it's an excellent question by Christy. #AJB. Why didn't they breathalyze him to confirm DUI? If he's believed to be the only occupant in that vehicle crashes into a tree, they interview him at the scene, and they make observational notes that he is intoxicated, and note in the incident report that he was under the influence, according to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. If they have all of these nuggets of information, then can you take those nuggets of information to ask for a breathalyzer test or a field sobriety test of some kind? Why didn't that happen? Again, I don't want to speak to it because I'd like to have the legal answer to that. Hey, if there's any, we are joined by lawyers all the time. Now, I can't vet a lawyer in real time. If you're joining us in our comments section, I can't look up your law degree and authenticate that you are a lawyer. But if anybody wants to take a stab at it, feel free to in our comment section, and you can let us know what you think. But again, I think I know a little bit as to why. It has to do with the independent witness, and has to do with the fact that he wasn't in the vehicle when deputies arrived. They cannot connect those dots for procedural reasons because of the law. But it's a great question, Christy. It was asked in our newsroom as we were first learning of this story. Reading through some other, let's go back over to YouTube. That was Facebook. Let's go back over to YouTube. Justin, thank you for the very kind comment. I very much appreciate that. Thank you. Whenever I see a kind comment like that certainly is, thank you. It's appreciated. Midas with a stinger, I think that is on YouTube. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. YouTube's always tricky with some of the names there. #AJB, no, would not have been allowed to leave the scene unless the cops think the person can't afford a good attorney. Then yeah, they would. I don't know. What Midas here is alleging is that this was a case of special treatment, that if it was, that they were making the determination as to whether or not the person could afford a good attorney while at the scene. And I just, I don't think that goes into, I'm just going to speak to my 2 cents for a moment. I don't think that goes through a deputy's head as to what kind of representation they're going to have legally down the road to challenge a potential charge. I don't think that's where the minds of our brave men and women in law enforcement go when they're handling a situation like this. I think that they're really trying to do their very best at their job, handle this as best they can, and do so to the letter of the law. And that sometimes they're put in strange predicaments. Martin Hyde was a strange predicament because, of course, we had the officer in that case clearly recognizing who Martin Hyde was. In this case, we clearly know that the deputies were very well aware that this was a county commissioner in their county. So these are some of the strange occurrences that can occur in the field when we're talking about law enforcement and responding to these scenes. So let's get to Terry Bird's comment. I'm trying to get to as many different comments from different perspectives as possible. Terry Bird, #AJB, enough is enough. It's time to hold officials and people in higher positions to be held accountable for actions like this. Special privileges in American, I think you meant probably America. We have a lot of, when we stream here live, we have a lot of folks that join us from outside the country. And I know, hello to all the folks joining us from the UK. I know a lot of folks, especially on YouTube, are joining us from the UK. We have a large UK audience. And I think that there's always sometimes those head-scratching moments when it comes to law here in America. from people internationally. We've had some commenters from South Africa join us in the past and ask questions in our comment sections and say something to the effect of, is that the law in America? Is that normal? Or is that strange? Or is that exclusive to this one state or this one jurisdiction? And so, but I'm seeing a lot of folks in our comment section who are commenting with language like that, saying that they are under the belief that this was a case of special privilege. That's, again, in the opinions of our commenters. But we'll take one or two more before we have to get going. We're coming up on the 4 o'clock hour. That's when Allison Henning is going to be in our newscast. I think she's going to be in the 4, 5, 6 o'clock newscast on WFLA News Channel 8. If you don't want to wait that long, you can, of course, click on the link in the description on this video. It'll take you over to WFLA.com, the WFLA app, where you can read the very latest on this story. Mark's comment saying that they, he admits to driving in the video. He's talking about swerving. She acknowledges. Here, let's bring up Mark's comment. So Mark is saying, #KJB, they both admitted he was driving, and that's true. We have the wife here, by all indications, saying that he was behind the wheel. We have him describing, and pointing to allegations of the road not being really in great shape, and that being a part of the reason why he swerved or why he crashed, also being cut off as well. He's clearly making it very, very directly obvious to the officer that he was behind the wheel of the car. But again, without an independent witness, can they serve as their own witnesses? Are they going to incriminate themselves? This is, again, matters of law that I would prefer a legal expert to really explain the nitty-gritty. I have a very, very broad overview of the laws of this country. I am not a legal expert. I'm a reporter, and I understand the law, but I don't understand some of the complexities of the law in which, in these stories that we kind of really take a deep dive into, if that makes sense. So, they both acknowledge that he was behind the wheel of the car. But we have, him clearly being intoxicated, in the words of the officers, or excuse me, the deputies at the scene. You can see her patting him there, trying to figure out exactly why he's soaking wet. But again, without, in the words of the deputies, without an independent witness to the crash, it makes it very challenging for it to be investigated as a potential DUI, for it to escalate to that level within Manatee County law enforcement. We're going to get going here in just a few moments. Ah, man, you know what, Cliff? I'm gonna shout out your comment, Cliff, because I am saying that I don't have a thorough background in the complexities of individual laws here in the state of Florida. Again, a pretty good understanding of how the law works here, but not good enough to explain sometimes the deep dives and the stories we cover. But Cliff is right on the money, because we do have a legal expert here in the building. 8 on your side, investigator Masa Saidi. Cliff saying #KJB, where's Masa? Where's Masa when you need her? Is she around? But she is working on a report. She's getting ready for television, so we're going to let her continue to do her job. But I'd be very curious. I might talk to Masa after this and kind of get her opinion. She's a former New York City prosecutor, and she's one of our investigators here at WFLA News Channel 8. Folks, we are going to get going. We really appreciate you joining us here on WFLA Now. You can click on the link in the description on this video for the very latest on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. I'd like to really thank our commenters for using our hashtag system to, again, go into this story with us through interactive journalism, talk with you about the stories that we cover here on WFLA Now. But again, any updates to this story will be on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Mystery Maven, one of our moderators, hello to you. Thank you for joining us. #KJB, the officers need probable cause to do so. If they believed they did not have that, the officers can't manage it as DUI. And puts in parentheses, I think it's arguable whether they did or not there. Sounds like it's possible. Yeah, and you know what? That's going to be very interesting to see what the outcome is of this review by the state attorney's office into whether or not they believe that a DUI charge here is constituted under Florida law, under the law of Florida, under the law of Manatee County. So we'll keep you posted. We really appreciate everybody joining us on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live. Our newscasts are coming up on WFLA News Channel 8. You can watch them on our website and on our app. For those of you in the viewing area in the Tampa Bay area, you can click on the link in the description on this video to get to our website, or you can just join us on your NBC station here in Tampa, Florida, in the Tampa Bay area, that being your, of course, your NBC station, WFLA News Channel 8 on your side. So we'll have updates on this story, and for the very latest on Florida's biggest stories, you can click on the link in the description on this video for the latest on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. For any updates on this story, too, I'll be on my WFLA JB Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages as well. So I'll see you over there on social media. Thanks for joining us, folks. The latest on WFLA.com, WFLA app.